Okay, so low arpeggios. Simple. We just have an arpeggio. The last note has a fermata on it. Why is there a fermata on it? Well, we can do a lot of things with this. I think the reason the fermata is there is so that we know that we are stable once we've gotten there and that we're not reaching. You've heard me talk about reaching. On that last note, you want to feel like you can just hold it forever. And if you can't, then you need to play with it a little bit. I often will check it with an air attack. So for example, I'll just pick one. So that feeling is what I'm going for on that last note. And what that's doing is it's keeping us honest, really, making sure that we're not fudging anything to get to any specific part of the range. So we start in the pedal range. Feel free to start lower than the pedal C that's printed, and feel free to go higher than the G. But stay healthy, stay comfortable. But always be checking in that not just the landing note, but all of the notes that you're playing, that they're square, that you're meeting them, and it's a nice resonant sound, and that you are that you're sustaining through it. Okay, so since I mentioned sustain, for the rest of this and for the rest of horn playing, I want you to remember these 3 points, but mainly for these because it involves so much slurring across certain registers. I want you to remember, firstly, you got to support. Support. That's what's going to keep your sound, your tone even across the ranges. Secondly, you're going to want to keep the slur forward in your mouth. Now, what do I mean? I mean, don't allow any physical concessions because you're trying to get around, a certain part. No, you want to have your surrounding muscles of the aperture engaged the entire time, and keep that little air vortex right in between your buzz and the mouthpiece. Keep that bubble happening. That's a really funky range for me, so I have to focus extra hard to make sure that I'm sustaining to keep the air moving, because if you don't sustain, the horn will win, basically, and a lot of the times you'll crap out or a note won't speak, so you have to sustain. And what happens when I'm keeping the buzz forward is that I'm able to, I don't have to re-engage those muscles that I've conceded in trying to get around, whatever hangups I might have. And lastly, number 3 is the mouth shape or the vowel sound. Some people say oral cavity or whatever you think of when it comes to mind. That shape that you're making with your tongue and the inside of your mouth. Now, caution, don't overdo it. Play with it a little bit. And with all of these things, we want to do less, right? So see how little you can get away with and get the sound that you want. Because the less effort you're putting forward, it's going to come through in your sound. Your sound will be easy, and also your endurance will be much, much better. So that's the arpeggios. And you can also do them tongued if you want. But yeah, and just make sure that last note is very stable, very clear. Make sure that you have no problems with that. If you do, go back, try to fix it. Don't get too hung up on it because you want to go on with, the rest of your day. But, maybe the 3 strikes and you're out method is a good way to keep going. You'll get it the next day. Okay, so let's go on to expanded arpeggios. Okay, so expanded arpeggios is pretty short, but I think there's a very good reason why it's in this specific range. Because, like I said, for me, and I think for a lot of horn players, this is kind of like a funky little, we take it for granted, this range really, but it really is kind of troublesome if you neglect it. So it's good to check in with it. Like I said, you can go outside this range, but the same things apply. Support, keeping the structure, keeping that forward, keeping the air moving, and also the mouth shape. Make sure you're engaged with the proper tone quality you want to make and resonate the horn. Something like that. Okay, extended arpeggios. So the extended low arpeggios are basically the same thing, right? Just a little bit quicker. We've engaged this sort of feeling throughout this range and what it's like to slur through these ranges. Now we're just picking up the pace, really, and doing the same thing. So, like I said before, pedal G's, fine place to start. If you want to go beyond the end of this exercise, feel free. Hopefully you'll keep it more even than that. But that was just a demo. I was just messing around. I can do better than that. Okay, so on to spiders. Okay, we're getting towards the home stretch. So spiders and note tasting, both of them are pretty self-explanatory. Spiders is something you're going to want to start off slowly, trust me. And I actually don't do it that often, so I'm going to fumble through it really quickly. But I recommend you, keeping these things that I said before in mind. As you get to the larger intervals, make sure that you're not just getting all over the place. Keep those muscle movements efficient. Keep your air constant, and don't overdo it just because we're jumping all around, right? Find out what the most efficient motion is. Gets a little rough at the end, right? I should practice this. Okay, anyways, moving on to tasting notes. Tasting notes, like I said, is very, very straightforward. It's just a matter of getting basically this is training for your mind, right? The mind-body connection. So you're gonna hear these notes before you play them. What do they feel like? That's what you need to be prepared for. I'll just pick a little out of nowhere, so. Oh, and
You're gonna do this with a metronome.
to keep the sound simple. I know it looks easy, but it's not. But I want you to maintain relax with it, and don't get discouraged if you miss notes with it. Just redo it and keep everything calm and simple. This is a hard one. Okay, on to noodles. Noodles. Okay, so you'll notice a lot of these exercises I do at a very sort of mezzo piano, mezzo forte dynamic. And the reason for that is that I'm not focused on playing soft or playing loud. I'm focused on having a good tone and doing things smoothly, especially the slurred things. So if you're wondering about, like what dynamic should I play all of these, they're not marked. The goal should really be ease and ease of sound. So some of you have said you like the noodles already, so I take it you've been doing it a little bit. I just do what's written here. The main thing that I'm going for is the things that I said before. So, especially with the octave jump, you want to try to make it sound as connected and easy as before. You don't want that's coming up later with the pop-out noodles, right? So for this one, let's aim not to do that. It got better as I went on. But yeah, it's a hard thing to do because that octave jump wants to pop out, right? Because when you play lower, it's easier to make that noisier sound. So with the lower range, the pedal notes, the same thing applies. You just have to be a little bit kinder to yourself in ironing out that jump. But the same rules apply. Support, keep the integrity of your embouchure, and make sure you're doing the right vowel sound. And like we've talked about before, make sure when you use your metronome that you're really subdividing so that those motor functions are happening right on time, very precisely. That's going to help you in keeping things a little bit, neater. Take some work. Okay, so that's regular noodles. Pop-out noodles, same idea, but now we get to really let it fly on the octave note, the octave jump below. Okay, so pop-out noodles. Make sure you sustain the triple forte note, and make sure that one thing you might want to do is check how it feels at a softer dynamic, so that you know what you're going for with the louder dynamic. There shouldn't be much of a physical difference. There should only be an airspeed difference. You're really going to force that air out when you get to the note. So you might want to. Etc. So that when you play that note, it shouldn't feel much different. If it does, stop and check in with the softer physicality again. Because all you should be doing for the pop-out note is blowing the crap out of that note, right? And maintain the integrity even when you're blowing more air, especially when you're blowing more air. Okay, lastly, high noodles. Okay, high noodles. There's two things I really like about this exercise. One, it's pianissimo, so very little effort, right? All we're focused on is just airflow. We were not really trying to save the world. We just want good sound in the high register and flexibility. So I like that dynamic. And the other thing I like is that she starts it at the highest part and then we work our way down. Now, there's probably a few reasons to do that, but the main reason to do it, or the main reason I like it, is because we don't get tired as we're ascending, right? As the exercise goes on. Start off right at the top, and we work our way down, and we feel good by the time we've ended. So same rules apply.
Use a metronome.
Also, going to want to have some very uh, subdivided movements in the high range so we don't get too much mess across the slurs, right? Make sure you're not forcing. And you know, if you are, skip and do some of the lower ones and maybe come back and see if you can achieve that same feeling back in the high range. Okay, so that's I think that's enough on this warm up routine. It's a solid, I don't know, hour of talking about this maybe, or something like that. But if you have any questions, reach out and we can talk a little bit more in depth. All right, I will see you soon. Thanks.